let's jump right into the teaching so we can have enough time to do some Q&A, some question time, because that's really important to help you guys out asking questions. By the way, if everything goes right, I haven't been doing the Friday green chair recently. I kind of felt like maybe you guys didn't really care to watch those videos, but some of you kind of said, yeah, I do like those videos. So tomorrow, Patrick and I are going to be we're going to both be sitting in a green chair. So Patrick, my videographer and good friend, will be together to film that video. We're going to take all the questions that I didn't get to tonight, and Patrick and I will answer those together. So you'll get a personal glimpse of Patrick. Patrick is really a funny guy. He sometimes doesn't want to really be funny on camera because I think sometimes he's afraid he'll offend someone by being goofy and funny and silly like we are. But I can always edit things out, and we have to sometimes. We get carried away. But Patrick, bring your funny side tomorrow. People want to see the real Patrick, okay? I'll bleep out anything that might be too offensive. All right. Top 5 August tips. Well, we're into August. Like I said, we have 32 days until fall. No matter where you live in the world, put yourself in the kind of the same time frame that I'm in. I'm 8 weeks into summer. It doesn't matter where you live. You can make that adaptation. And then I'm 32 days until fall. That's kind of the time period it is, okay? Now, the top 5 August tips really going to be helpful for you guys. I'm excited to share these with you. Ready? All right. So we need to learn how to assess our hive in these last few weeks that we have to make changes. It gets a little bit too late in the year to make changes. So now's the time to get our bees ready through winter. It has been rumored, that's the best way to say it. It's been rumored that we will have more bees die this winter than we had last winter. And what was it? Nearly 70 something percent among commercial beekeepers. And I think it was in the 60s among backyard beekeepers that lost 60% bees gone. And so it's likely that it's rumored that we will see more than that this year. I hope that's not the case. Again, let me just say, I find that very striking. I think it's weird. We've never had more feeding supplements. We've never had more, all these probiotics and seaweed. We have all these things, all these different kind of wrap systems, all these kind of hive configurations and different types of hives. We've never had more reasons for bees to live through the winter. And yet with all of the things you see for sale and people are inventing, we had more bees die than ever before. Shocking. I think it comes down to kind of knowing your bees and just understand basic bee biology. But let me give you some tips. First of all, the heart of my message tonight, you got to be able to be very creative and assess your hive. So tonight I'm going to be talking about how do you assess your hive to get ready for winter. You got to do it now because you have limited time to make corrections. So we're going to look at assessing the brood, your resources, your population, pests and diseases, and what to do if you don't have all your frames drawn out, okay? Tip number 1, assessing your brood. Now this picture is Judy holding up a frame of the video I just published an hour ago. You can watch it after this video. But she pulled this up. This was a hive that we thought was weak, judging by the entrance. And we began to do an inspection, and we found beautiful brood, beautiful eggs and larvae. Look at that rainbow effect. We call it in the beekeeping world, rainbow looking brood. And then you got your honey at the top. This is in the top deep. And since we saw so many of these, I think we saw around 9 or 10,000 capped over pupae, we felt that was adequate and not having to go down and look at the bottom deep. So what you want to look for are things like this. You want to look for assessing your brood. So one of the things I want to share, and it's really important, is when a lot of beekeepers look at their population. I'll talk about population. Let me hold that thought. But we're not looking at really the adult bees here. We're looking at the brood. So that means anything like eggs, larvae, or capped over pupae. This is the frame of capped over pupae. We need all three stages of brood. So we need the capped over brood you see here. And look, if you have capped over brood but don't have any eggs and larvae, the future is not, there's no future. So when you do your inspections now, you're assessing your brood by looking for eggs, lots of eggs, larvae, and brood. And if you don't see it, either your queen is failing or you're in a dearth and it's time to feed your bees for good brood. And that's what I'll be doing in a week. I've done that for over 2 decades. I've learned how to feed my bees one-to-one with my additives. I sent out a newsletter today about that to all of you, thousands of you that are on my newsletter. It's a free newsletter. But I sent that out today explaining that. And it's important to start developing bees of winter physiology, okay? And you do it by feeding your bees one-to-one sugar water, not 2-to-1, but 1-to-1 with additives to stimulate nurse bees to feed the larvae and take care of developing bees of winter physiology. So the timing of brood. Now, the timing of brood is important too. I wrote in my article today in my newsletter that I usually start feeding my bees about 2 weeks after a dearth starts. I wait 2 weeks because sometimes I think a dearth has started and all at once my bees start foraging again. So I want to make sure we are in a dearth and the bees know they're in a dearth. And that's when they start raising bees that will live 4 to 8 months in the wintertime. So this is just like science. It's not, anything that's pie in the sky here. Bees survive by having winter bees that can make it through the winter. I just like to raise more of them by feeding in the fall. And that's why I created the Burns feeder board to do that. So the timing of it is to get the timing down right, to start raising bees in September and October. Let the hive raise bees then that will live 4 to 8 months. That'll take you into spring. It is amazing. Again, it could be a queen issue when you're assessing your brood. So you need to be able to look now while there is a nectar flow and say, do I have good brood? And if you do, your queen's fine. If you don't, and there's still a nectar flow, maybe you need to replace your queen while you still can, okay? Tip number 2 is assessing your resources. And it's, like I said, as you can see here, look at the honey above this. All these frames in this top deep box were packed with nectar or plenty of pollen. You can watch the video, plenty of pollen, and they have a lot of honey that's capped over for them for winter. This is 2 deeps. That's what I run in Illinois, 2 deep boxes. And I don't have a super on this one. I will feed them my Winter Be Kind boards all winter long to help them have plenty. Okay. So I don't worry about that super on this hive. I think there was a super on there. Can't remember. They didn't put anything up there. And so I didn't choose to work them that hard. So they did a good job filling up their deeps for me. And the other thing you want to look for is pollen. In this video, if you don't know how to judge how much honey or pollen or bee bread you need in a hive, you got to watch that video that I put out today, because Judy and I walked through this hive, the top of it. There's more bee bread down at the bottom, but we walked through it and said, I don't see any pollen. What's going on here? But then we found frame after frame of pollen. You can see it all in the video, okay? Bee bread is important. Do you know what bee bread is, my friend? Bee bread is like, remember how maybe grandma or you might can foods. You might get things out of the garden and you prepare them and you place them in canning jars and you put the lid on it and all. Canning food is a way that you preserve food, in jars so you can eat it in the winter. Bees can their bee bread by taking pollen and adding enzymes to it. It's their way of making it last longer. And so bee bread is kind of a wet looking pollen many times, a greasy looking pollen. If you've ever seen that in your hive, that's them storing bee bread for the future. You need to see that. It really does help them in the wintertime. Now, if you don't see these resources in the hive right now, if you're really hurting for significant amount of honey, nectar, pollen, bee bread, it's time for you to increase your resources. And I think the best way to do it is feed them from the top. We make a feeder board for that. I put all of these additives in my sugar water, in my 1-to-1 sugar water, because bees, everything a bee eats, they eat through a straw. They don't have big molars like we do, right? We get our protein by grinding up beans with our big teeth and meat and all. We get proteins that way. Bees don't have molars. They don't grind up stuff with teeth. They have a straw called a proboscis. And they manipulate it into almost like a straw for suction, and they slurp up their food. So that's why I put my protein powder, my amino protein, and honeybee healthy all in my sugar water, and that really helps them. I've made a ton of video. You may be new. Thanks for being new. 1 teaspoon of protein powder, 1 teaspoon of honeybee healthy, 1 teaspoon of amino bee booster in 1 quart of sugar water, 1-to-1. Bingo. That's the magic thing to get them to really raise a lot of brood this time of the year. All right, let's talk about population. I almost touched on it earlier, but tip number 3, assessing your population. Don't be fooled by population. Let me tell you, I have done this for almost 30 years, and all the time, beekeepers look in their hive, they see a lot of bees this time of the year, and they say, aha, all is good. Let me warn you, all is not good. Every bee you see in your hive now would be dead in 45 days. I mean, they're being replaced, don't get me wrong, but summer bees only live maximum of 45 days. So some people see a big population later, late in the summer like this, and they think, okay, big hive, big hive. Sure, it's a big hive because all those bees are going to be dying in 45 days. They're summer bees. You need a constant replacement of summer bees, but now we need a replacement of incoming winter bees. So don't be fooled by your population if you don't see eggs and larvae. And then within the next month, we got to start raising, within the next 4 weeks, we have to start raising bees of winter physiology. Those are bees that will emerge, and they won't die in 45 days. They'll die in 4 to 8 weeks. No, I'm sorry, 4 to 8 months. So these bees that we're going to be raising in the next 4 weeks are going to be bees that live 4 to 8 months. This is all science. I'm not making this up. It's in the books. I've just read scientific literature and put it into action, okay? And I've got a history on my YouTube channels. You can watch me do it on my videos, and you can see amazing how many bees I come out of winter with. Don't let your bees die in the winter, okay? No reason for that, all right? So care for, I say adult bees versus larvae. So yeah, I spoke to that. Don't be fooled by just having a bunch of adults, but no upcoming brood. Care for the larvae. Right now, the nurse bees have to consume a lot of protein, a lot of carbohydrates to care for larvae. And this is the time of the year where the bees slow down, a dearth hits, the nurse bees start starving, they become protein deprived, and they can't take care of the young. So you can supplement that by giving them these 1-to-1 sugar jars with the protein additives and all. You can power up your nurse bees to take care of your larvae. If they don't have it naturally out in nature, that nature is the best thing. Don't get me wrong, but if they don't have it, give them an IV, get them through this spell, okay? Because you need future adult bees. That's the only way to do it is by caring for the larvae. Your larvae has to be well fed. If they're half fed, they're going to live half their lives. They'll be puny little adults, okay? It works that way in the animal kingdom, not just bees. Bees are in the animal kingdom. There's only 2 kingdoms, plant kingdom and animal kingdom. All right, and then finally, again, let's don't eliminate the problem might be with the queen. If you're having brood issues and population that's down right now, now's the time to really make that decision. Do you need to replace the queen? Is she not doing good? Get on that. Don't wait much longer. You only have a little bit of time to get a queen and replace her. Man, my temperatures, it's going to be almost clustering temperature in about, 5 days? I think Saturday night, Sunday night, it's going to be down to 51 degrees. They cluster at 50 degrees Fahrenheit. My goodness, already. Look how fast fall's coming. Okay, so we got to be on this. Tip number 4, I want you to be able to assess issues, primarily pests and diseases in your hive. I know you're a new beekeeper. Don't be overwhelmed. I'm here to help you. I'm an EAS, Eastern Apicultural Society master beekeeper, certified master beekeeper since 2010 when I became certified. And I'm on YouTube to help you. I make video after video after video to help you with all of these things. So you're not alone. Don't be overwhelmed. Got a friend in me. Okay. But let's talk about this pests and diseases. And so there are things right now that we need to look at and be aware of. A big pest right now is your bees themselves. Let me explain that. Bees rob bees. So if you got some colonies, your big colonies are going to rob your other colonies. If you only have one hive, bees within 2 or 3 miles are going to rob your hive. So they're getting ready for winter. That's why robbing takes place. They're trying to build up their resources by robbing other hives. You would think bees would be nice to each other and not rob each other, but that's not true. They do. Bees, bears, animals will get pretty aggressive trying to get ready for winter, and your bees will rob your bees. Okay. So that's one of the things you need to prepare for is putting on robber screens, getting ready for that. So let's talk about some pests and diseases. You need to be aware that if you wait too late in the fall or early fall, your mice, M-I-C-E, a mouse, mice, sounds like mites, but I'm saying mouses, mice, they will come into the hive and set up their houses. Okay. Here in Illinois, when they start harvesting the corn and beans around me, mice come running and they'll hide in your beehives. They'll destroy your hive. Okay. So don't let mice in. A lot of the robber screens, the ones that we sell, serve as a robber screen, a robbing protector screen, and they also serve as a mouse guard. Okay. So both, two birds with one stone. Don't let mice take over. They're going to be looking for a home soon as it starts getting cooler at night. Now let's talk about mites, M-I-T-E-S. Got to get ready for mites because right now they're going to start really getting bad because right now your bees will slow down their brood production, but your mites will outbrood your bees this time of the year. You'll have more mites in your hive than you have bees. That's documented. Okay. If you don't do anything, your hive is likely to die this winter from viruses that the mites spread. If you can get rid of your mites now, you can prevent a lot of viruses that the bees can't get over. They don't have the immune system to get over some of these viruses. Okay. So get ready for your mites. All of you want to know the magic treatment. We have an arsenal of treatments based on your temperature, your hive configuration, the money that you're willing to spend on mite control, however that fits. You got to be not only a good beekeeper, you got to know about mites, and you have to really do your research on different treatments and have treatments ready. This year, I've already been using some acyclic vaporizer on my hives. Even though my mite counts are low on most of my hives, I'm checking them. I'm making sure that those that are above 2 or 3 mites per 100 bees, and I'm on that, and going to make sure that I don't have any mites going into winter. It does you no good if you have a lot of winter bees and they're all infected with viruses. They only live half their life. So make sure you get your mites under control. Small hive beetle take the control of your hive. They can stress out your bees. Okay. A lot of people don't know that. Bees don't perform well under a lot of stress. So make sure you have beetle traps in there. Beetles spread more, reproduce more in hot climate weather, which we've had over the last few weeks. So you got more beetles spreading this time of the year. Get control of that. Get some traps in there, Swiffer pads, diatomaceous earth, whatever you use. There's a lot of ways to control small hive beetle. I talked about mice already. PMS. Do you know what that is? Parasitic mite syndrome. You see this in the fall a lot because by this time, if you've done nothing for mites, parasitic mite syndrome is when your colony begins to get really sick. You'll see spotty brood. You'll see unhealthy bees. You may see deformed wing virus on the wings of bees present itself that way. You will get parasitic mite syndrome. The hive will become very, very weak. Population decrease. It's really bad. Some people said last fall they saw their bees die last fall. I don't know why they died specifically. I didn't look at each individual hive that people said, but my mind jumped right to parasitic mite syndrome. Mites took their toll all summer long, and they finally couldn't take the stress of the viruses that they were enduring. So watch out. Make sure you to avoid parasitic mite syndrome. It's to get rid of the mites. Okay. Absolutely. And finally, for the last slide tonight on 5 tips in August to assess your frames. And what I mean by that, what if you don't have some frames that are drawn out? What are you going to do now? I've got to say that I've had some people tell me they've started a nucleus 5-frame nuke. They started it this month or last month. I am really surprised by that. I would never start a nuke this late in the year here in Illinois. It won't happen. There's no way I could get that through winter. I've got to have a strong colony. All the literature points to having strong colonies, big colonies going into winter. Some people can get little 5-frame nukes through the winter. Some people do get single deeps through the winter. I know that. I've done that a few times. Not my cup of tea. I am going to have better luck. The more bees that can make heat in my hive all winter long, bigger population, is going to be just all out better. In fact, really only 1/3 of your winter bees that cluster, about only 1/3 of them are the ones that are going to make it to spring. So we got a lot working against us. Don't buy into thinking these magic formulas of things you throw in there, it's going to save the day, or some magic insulation or something. I don't think that it's going to help. Don't get me wrong. But on the other hand, what you really need to do is have the beekeeping skills to make good decisions. So if you've started too late and now you don't have all your frames drawn out, you have no choice but to combine hives. And I just made a video last week on combining hives. So watch that video. If you have nothing to combine and you've got a small hive that didn't ever draw out enough frames, here's what you're going to have to accept. They're not going to make it through winter. You've got a 10% chance of them surviving a harsh winter. I don't know where you live. Maybe if you're in the South, they have a better chance. Illinois, would they never do it. But wherever you live, go ahead and try. Give it your all. Feed them like crazy. Insulate them and cross your fingers. Say a prayer. Whatever you got to do, try your best. Just know they may not make it if you can't combine them and get them stronger. Okay. What you want to see is these frames need to be packed. Don't be afraid to have packed frame. Some people are afraid of honey bound, brood bound, pollen bound. Make sure they're packed, okay? Going into winter, they need to be bound up with everything, okay? And that because they're going to eat through it like crazy. If you have more than one hive, and I hope you do, hope you will next year if you get, a chance to get more bees, balance out your frames. Share frames. Take some frames out of that big whopping hive over there, share them with the little hive that needs a boost. So don't be afraid to balance and share frames between hives. This time of the year, you got time to do it. Manipulate your hives by sharing frames, combining them. Just be sure, try to equalize all your hives so all of them can make it. The fifth thing is if you have a hive, let's say I showed a video last week where Judy and I found a hive that did not do anything with one of the top supers. I think it was the second super, maybe the third one on top. They didn't touch it. We took it off. They didn't need it anymore. They're not going to do anything. It's coming off. Okay, going into storage. So if you have empty boxes above your bees that they're not going to draw out, like especially supers, get those off the hive. It's just going to let the heat go up there and the bees will go up there and starve out on you. So keep your bees condensed into the boxes that have good frames in them. All right, that teaching is a wrap. 5 of my August tips to really help you guys take advantage right now of the things that you need to be doing. There's still time to do it. Isn't that exciting? This would be bad news if it was already September the 15th and it's too cold out there. October the 15th, can't do anything. You're not going to be able to get a queen in a month. You won't be able to really feed your bees well and after it starts getting cold in the daytime. So now's the time. Ring the bell, sound the alarm. let's make sure we get our act together, do what it needs to do. It's cooling off for me. It's a little easier working bees now that it's cooled off a lot. So I hope that teaching is going to be very valuable to all of us, and don't get caught off guard. You know, this time of the year, I'm going to tell you this. It's a lot like Christmas lights. If you're into Christmas and you put up Christmas lights, how many of you have ever waited too late to put your Christmas lights up, and you're out there in 0 degrees Fahrenheit temperatures and a strong wind and a heavy snow trying to put up your Christmas lights? You could have done it on a nice fall calm day, but you know, you felt like you had time, right? Guilty. I'm guilty as charged. But so the bees are the same way. We're going to keep putting this off that, oh, I got time. And all at once we don't have time. So we got to get on ahead of that for sure. All right. Very good. Thanks for being here tonight. Welcome all the new people that have just joined us. And so many of you are here. Hundreds of you have crowded into the live stream. I appreciate that so much. I'm humbled. I want you to know I appreciate all of you so much. We're going to go into some time to help answer your questions. All right. Thank you guys for your donations tonight. I see here, David and team, thanks for all you do. Keep in mind, some of us are in the Northwest with still lots of daylight left. It's 80 degrees and we'll be light till 10. Wow. All right. Well, good deal. You know how to adjust that. Just apply the same things that I taught and just apply it to your settings. Absolutely. Thanks for your donation, by the way. All your donations helps us to have more giveaways and have special speakers. We always pay our speakers here on our live stream. So appreciate all your donations. Yep. All right. What kind of questions do you have on your mind tonight? Will a deep box of capped honey work as a queen excluder? I'd like to make it easier for the foragers in my Demare hives to make it up into the upper supers. I use it, and you can watch my videos this summer. I only have one queen excluder on a hive, and that's one that I have 3 or 4 honey supers on. And that one has a queen excluder. All the rest do not have queen excluders. I'm using honey as that barrier. Once the queen gets up in that honey super and it's got nectar or capped honey, she goes back down. It likely will work unless you're putting undrawn or drawn out comb in there. She could start laying. So you got to just use some, common sense on that. Yep. Can I place the Burns feeding board over an Apigard tray when the hole of the pollen patty, where the hole of the pollen patty is that enough space for the Apigard to do its thing? I want you to read carefully before I'm not even going to answer that, because we need to find out, can you feed with Apigard on a hive? I don't have that in my memory bank right now. I've read it. I knew it once. I don't want to respond to that because it may say not to feed bees with it on there. If the label says you can feed bees with it on there and you can make all that spacing work out, more power to you, but read that label first. Thank you, Judy. Hello. Nice spending the week with you last week. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your donation. That was so kind of you. Had fun. Got one more video, I think, to make too. Is it normal for my bees to sleep on outside of hive when it's 80 at night? They're resting. It is very common. Bees get out there to help cool the hive out. Less bodies inside, it does help. So yeah, they do take a break and hang out outside. That's called bearding. Yep, very common. David, second year in, what is that, Maryland or Massachusetts? Sorry, the M states confuse me. Winter Be Kind and Burns feeding boards are game changers. Thank you. Wasted so much on other feeders first. Any tips cleaning propolis off jar lids besides elbow grease? Concern heat will warp lids or the gasket. Oh, well. So what I do is when my lids get propolized on my feeder jars, I take a little needle, poke them out. You can also use alcohol with a nice brass brush. Brass is lighter metal than the lids are made of. You don't damage the paint, and you just get the propolis. Use some alcohol, then rinse the alcohol off. Works really good. Absolutely. Thanks for using those feeders. It is a game changer. It was a game changer for me. Yep. Do you think the collapse this past winter created a reset? I and many others in my area are also seeing strong bees and low zero mite counts in Southwest Michigan. We could only hope so. We do see that occasionally in insects, don't we? You know, some years they're worse and they're gone. Other years they come back with a vengeance. There's no way to know. That is only maybe a hopeful wish of that reset. Yeah, we really don't know. But my goodness, we need that. It'd be great. It's about time, isn't it? My small hive beetle are that way. I haven't had hardly any beetles this year. Thank you, Ginger, for your kind donation. I appreciate that you enjoy all the helpful videos that I make. Thank you for you guys for your donations tonight. David, when I pull off supers, I feel like we left the bees too crowded. Can I give them back a box? I made a video about that last year. I know that you don't really, some of you don't know that I have a video about every question probably. Remember, I've been making videos for 17 years, but I made a video specifically about this. So sometimes they do feel crowded if they've been hanging out in one of those supers up there. Yeah, you can put that back on there, but beware that some of the bees that you're seeing that are overcrowded are bees that will be dying rapidly now. So you won't have that population real long. And if they start putting some honey up in that super, don't be fooled if there's just 2 or 3 frames. You got to remove it anyway. Hello, Wayne. Good to see you, B Team 6 member. Thanks for being a part of B Team 6, and thanks for your donation. B Team 6 is my mentorship program where people can email me directly and get an urgent email response to help you in your beekeeping challenges that you see. I have too many bees, a good problem, I know. I removed the supers. Now they're making comb on the inner cover and making swarm cells. What should I do? Yeah, well, now you have to go back into spring mode. I know it's very frustrating. Bees swarm in the fall. If there's a startup of a nectar flow like asters, such as goldenrod, if they start bringing in stuff and they're overcrowded, they'll swarm on you. So go in there, manage your queen cell or swarm cells, cut them out. It's tough because bees are very big and busy. That's about all we can do. Beekeeping is not easy. There's no easy way sometimes except elbow grease and cowboy up. See that in the background, cowboy up. That's what it means. You just got to cowboy up sometimes. Thank you, Charles, for being a YouTube member. I have a membership on my YouTube channel. You can be a Beak Squad ambassador or the Beak Squad or the Nectar Novice. So that's a cool part of being an extra dose of support on my YouTube channel. Appreciate that. Okay, first year beekeeper. Does South Florida have a winter for bees? Honest question. Well, if that's where you live, you should know more than I do. I would not call it a winter. My goodness, after comparing that to my winters, but no, it doesn't get as cold. It doesn't stay cold as long. But yeah, you're probably wondering, will bees go into a winter, kind of a winter physiology state? Remember, it's not so much temperatures, but it's available nectar. So if you have a period in Florida where there's not much blooming, not much being brought in, especially a large amount, that's when they might start raising bees of winter physiology. Yep. Should I do a mite test on every hive, only 2 frames of brood? Oh, should I do a mite test on a hive with only 2 frames of brood? Thank you. Jana, good question. I would say let's don't, because 2 frames of brood is not a large number of bees. Mites can only reproduce on bees in their brood area. You haven't had a lot of brood, so you don't have a lot of mites, and that, you know, doing a treatment or an alcohol wash on a small number of bees, it may not meet the label. A lot of labels say you have to have X number of bees, of frames of bees. 2 automatically, in my mind, 2 disqualifies you from a lot of things, a lot of treatments. Okay, so let's stay away from that. Yeah, that's a tough call. David, can you feed too much in a dearth? You know, never say never, but I feed as long as bees will take it down and they still have room for the queen to lay. Just use critical thinking. If they start filling up and too much room and now the queen can't lay, back off, hold off, let them digest and consume, metabolize that into royal jelly to feed their brood, and then you can start back up again. Got to be a good beekeeper and watch that, okay? Got to watch your frames, watch what's in the cells. Yeah, that's how you succeed in beekeeping. Know what's in that brood, know what's in those cells. Hello, Alan, maybe. Hi, David. Is there a minimum threshold of brood frames should be on the lookout per hive in preparation for winter? I like to have 40,000 winter bees going into winter. There's approximately, on a deep frame on both sides, it has a capacity of having 7,000 bees on it, but 5,000 is more probably an average. So you're going to need 8 frames of brood to make that 40,000 winter bees. So over the course of 2 months, you need to generate 4 frames of brood each month, like I would say August, September, or September, October, and generate 4 new frames of winter bees those months, if you want to do the math that way. That's a minimum, 40,000. David, what's the best hive configuration to get your bees through the winter in Michigan? I have 2 deeps and a honey super. Should I leave it that way? Absolutely. I love it. We need about 70 pounds of food on the hive in way of honey. Here in Illinois, you probably need that much or a little bit more. That extra honey super is insurance. Of course, even though I have an extra super on there, I still put winter bee kinds. They eat about 4 pounds of the winter bee kind per week. My hives do. But then they come out of winter so strong. If you feed your bees through your little inner cover hole, that may get away from the cluster. If the cluster moves to the right or the left, it's away from that little hole. They can't eat. The winter bee kinds cover the entire box. No matter where the cluster is, the bees can go there. And oftentimes my bees will eat my winter bee kinds long before they touch that super. So it's this added insurance. Absolutely. Don't let them die. Feed them in the winter. Absolutely. And our winter bee kinds are on sale, but they're actually selling out pretty quick. So they start being shipped out in December. You can check out my website for that. I have a honey super full of honey. Should I take it off now and put it back on before winter? Brandon, if you take it off now and harvest it and put it back on and they don't fill it, it won't really do you any good. You can try it, but if they don't fill it, you're going to take it off anyway. Hi, David. Bye. Brian, a member of my YouTube channel for 14 months. Thank you so much. I know you mentioned tonight for 2 deeps versus 1, but what about if you have a weak hive? Would you rather combine them into 1 hive with 2 double deeps or keep 1 single hive? I think both have the probable possibility of surviving both scenarios. However, in the past, what has worked for me is 2 deeps. If I can get 20 frames in there with a lot of good brood and resources, that always works better. Thank you, Cheryl, for your donation and super sticker tonight. You guys are leaving donations. If you don't want to leave a donation here for the live stream causes, you can always go to honeybeesonline.com. It's scrolling by there. There's a donation on that website, my website, for you guys to leave a donation. No matter how small or big, I appreciate any efforts to support the live stream. The price of my internet out in the country to stream tonight is, I won't even tell you how much it is. It is embarrassing how much it is. It is hundreds of dollars. Let me just say that. Many, many hundreds of dollars. So any donation helps to support the mission. I appreciate it. Still doing it no matter how much it costs. David, newbie here in Alabama, 3 colonies. What do you recommend? Do you recommend extracting honey from frames without an extractor? You can do the squeeze and crush method. Scrape it off, squeeze it through some cheesecloth, let it drain out. A lot of people have historically done that. You can scratch it open, hold the frame up, and let it drain out over time. Make sure it's in a closed area away from bees, pretty warm room, and it will work just fine. Yep. Cheesecloth is kind of a good way to strain all the wax out if that bothers you. I like beeswax. Rob, hey, David, any reason why bees on some frames are walking calmly and others seem to run around feverishly during an inspection? Same way, if you go to a big city and you can see people sitting in a park, you see other people rushing feverishly to work and to home, to babysitters, to make supper, to go to school. Same deal. Some bees are resting. Some people are in slow mode, taking or chilling out, chillax. But other bees are like, uh-oh, I've got to get more wax built. Uh-oh, I got to get these larvae fed. Larvae are high consumers of brood food, and those bees go crazy trying to keep up. Yep, you're just seeing different work jobs and right before your eyes. That's funny, isn't it? Thank you, Charlie. Good to see you. Always great to have you on the live stream. All of you are just so welcome here tonight. Appreciate all of you here so much. Hi, David and team. Thanks for all your hard work you do for us. How long does it usually take for the bees to get used to their robbing screen, find a new entrance when first put on? Put it on at night. It helps, but it's going to take, give it a day or two. Yeah. I had one of my B Team 6 members send me a video today, and it wasn't sure what was going on. And the bees had already gotten used to that robber screen opening, and they were taking an orientation flight. Really cool. Thank you for your donation tonight. I appreciate that you are thanking us for the great education in beekeeping. That's what I'm here for. Hey, Mark, can I use a Winter Be Kind board I have left over last year, or should I knock it out and redo it? If it doesn't have mold and mildew, it's going to be fine. Check it out. See if it's something that looks good and tasty to you. If not, you might want to knock it out and redo it. Yep. Keep them in the freezer. They last pretty good like that. I'm in East Tennessee. Is it too late to do another graft of queens? It's my first year grafting queens. I don't want to produce inferior quality queens. Well, here's the deal on that. Look in your hive, see if you have a lot of drones. You need a lot of drones in the drone congregation areas known as DCAs. They will be the ones mating with those queens. So if you've got good drones, why not go for it one more time? Yeah, I got a lot of drones. They're still capping over drone cells. It's crazy out there how many drones we have. Thank you so much for your super sticker tonight. See that? Appreciate it. Want to say hello to all of you here. Thank you for those of you who are just joining us. How soon after requeening may I apply a Mite Control? Thank you. I would like probably to wait for her to get used and them to get used to her. Why don't you give it at least a week, minimally, maybe 2 weeks, just so her queen mandibular pheromones don't get disrupted or confusing to the bees if she's brand new. That's my take. Thank you, Turkey Dirt, for your super sticker tonight. That's great. All right. Hey, Jennifer, will wax moths build on new, not drawn out frames? They do. If there's anything on there they can attach to, they will. They build up on the wood boxes of your hives. They can. There's enough little residue there of the wax frames that aren't drawn out yet. Those little critters show up everywhere. So you might want to find a good place to store them so that doesn't happen. That's for sure. One more question, then we're going to have a giveaway, and then we'll get back into our questions. All right. Some queens are sold with clipped wings. Don't some queens take mating flights again later in life? Do the wings grow back? Wings do not grow back. No. And no. Queens will not take a mating flight later on in life. They will not have that option, because as soon as they start becoming inferior layers, they will be killed and superseded by another queen. So yeah, that doesn't happen. It just only helps. Some people think clipping the wings helps them not to swarm in swarm season. A very good question, though. I appreciate questions like that. Oh, thank you for your super sticker, Justin. $10 there. Appreciate that. Yeah. All right. Oh, let's do a giveaway. Tonight, we have one more giveaway. This is really kind of going to be a special giveaway, okay? When I was at EAS last year, or this year, but last month, I think, I was given a book by a fellow EAS Master Beekeeper. That stands for Eastern Apicultural Society. It is a great conference I go to every year, and it is the largest non-commercial conference. But this book was given to me by fellow EAS Master Beekeeper, David McFawn and Jennifer O'Keefe and a bunch of other people. But anyway, look at this. They actually wrote this book. It is fascinating. It's about preferred plants and nectar collecting times of honey production. Now, it is specifically targeted a South Carolina beekeeper's guide, but it can be very useful no matter where you live. And if any of you are wondering about this, it can be a guide for your state. It has data in it that is unbelievable. Look at those pollen grains. That's just an enjoyable book to read. Okay. Somebody tell David I need another one, because I decided to give this one away because it is so good. I felt guilty hogging it. I wanted other people to know about it, other people to know about pollen and all this. And there's the name of it again. We're going to give this book away. Maybe David will give me one. And actually, let's see. He actually signed it up at the top here. He wrote David Burns, but there's his name, David M. So it's an autographed copy, and I received it on August the 1st. Okay. So it's a good book. We're going to give this away tonight. It's really going to be so helpful. Again, it's one of these, master beekeepers are just so bright and intelligent and just write books and everything that are so good. And all right, let's give this away. So this is going to be a good book for you to look at. Yep. All right. Robbie's setting this up now. Look at that. Talks all about the flower, honeybee. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? Oh, good book. Wow. Maybe David's watching. I don't know. But if you are, David, I need another one. All right. Let's see who will win this book. All right. Preferred plants and nectar collecting times for honey production. Everyone's always asking. Glenn, congratulations. Glenn, you're the winner. Be sure and email us within 24 hours. beaksquadwinner@gmail.com. Get this copy of this book. Others of you didn't win tonight, this book I'm sure is available. Just go online and Google that title. I'm sure you're going to find it somewhere if you've got to have it. Okay. There's the title. Write it down real quick. All right. Very good. Hey, Mary, good to see you. Thanks for your donation. And congratulations on winning last week. I remember seeing you last week. All right. We got time for some more Q&A question time. I see we're topping about 800 people in the room tonight. So thanks for being here. 800 beekeepers. Can you swap frames between hives if they are different bees? Yeah, you can. It doesn't matter what kind of bees you have. They don't be fooled by different species of bees. Okay. Like subspecies, if you have Attendans or if you have Carniolans, it doesn't matter because they're Apis mellifera. Okay. That's the bee, Apis mellifera. So yeah, you can do that. Not a problem. Good question though. A lot of people ask that. First hive ended up with European foul brood. Oh, let's see. European foul brood, Melissococcus platonin. Growing the hive again, it's at 4 frames of bees now. Any thoughts on how to prepare for winter? How few frames can make it in Utah? Oh, sorry to hear that. European foul brood is really tough on bees. I hope you got rid of it all. And if you can, you just got to keep feeding them and hoping that, keep them in a single deep. Maybe they can build up in that single deep and make it through. Fingers crossed on that one. Everybody watch out for European foul brood. I made a video on European foul brood, what it looks like, how to know it's there. So any video that you want to know or anything you want to know about beekeeping, go to YouTube, type in David Burns on the YouTube search, and then type in anything after David Burns, like David Burns European foul brood, and there'll be a video come up. David Burns inner covers, videos will come up. David Burns feeding bees for winter, the videos will come up. Anything you put on there, David Burns American foul brood, boom, it's going to come up. Anything you type in there, type in your question after the word David Burns beekeeping, type your question in there, video on it. I've been around long times, folks. All right, some more questions at me tonight. Caught a swarm yesterday. Should I combine it with the hive in my apiary since I live in Vermont and it's very late in the season for them to swarm? Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would combine it. I love combining swarms to help bees. If you don't want to combine the whole swarm, move frames over. Once they start laying eggs and get capped over pupae, move some capped over pupae to help bees that don't have enough, something like that. Yeah, combining is a good thing. Jesse, which every time I put a pollen patty in a hive, it causes an explosion of small hive beetle. Is that common? It is unfortunately way too common. I no longer use pollen patties for the very same reason. I put my pollen protein in the sugar water where beetles never see it. The bees eat through the jar lids. The protein is in the sugar water, just like nectar has pollen grains in it. That's their protein. And that way beetles never see it. They'll lay eggs in those pollen patties if they get a chance. So I had to stop using pollen patties, and it really cut down on my small hive beetle population. Very common thing to happen. Absolutely. When do I know it's safe to take the robber screen back off? When robbing season stops. And so it's never going to stop until it gets cool enough where bees are just done foraging because it's too cool. I know. Anytime it's, our Indian summers, our fall, autumn is just prime time for robbing to happen. So watch out for it. Yeah. 2 more questions. Is the low traffic through the entrance due to the fact that I started feeding them this week? Hardly any traffic in and out. It may be a combination of feeding them, or I would say it's a combination. It's really that they don't have a lot to go out for. They prefer natural food out there for sure. Thanks, EL, for your super sticker tonight. Appreciate it. One more question. Get this one, last one in here. If we have bearding, is a good idea to mist them with garden hose to assist them in cooling. Thank you. I would not spray water on the bees bearding out there. That will put them in a wet, immobilized state. I would not do that. They're fine just hanging out there. Okay, friends. Wow, what a live stream. Another great time of being together. 59 minutes seemed like 60 seconds to me. I loved it. It was so fun. And I hope that you really gained a lot of good information from the live stream tonight. All of you are so special to me. I love just sharing my heart and my life with you. I feel like all of you are my friends. I appreciate you watching my videos. Like I said, I just released a video today. So after this video, be sure and watch for that one. It's the thumbnail is, will this hive make it through winter? And that's going to be very informative because I know you're asking about that with your hive. So check that video out. I want to give a special thanks to my friend Patrick, all the video work that he does, and for Robbie and Carrie and Jessica for working behind the scenes tonight. They all did a fantastic job. Give them a round of applause. And remember, I'm here every Thursday night to help you guys out. In the meantime, I'll see you in the next video.